Hello everybody and welcome to what is probably going to be a shorter video for the channel. Usually my music reviews range from anywhere from like 15 minutes to over an hour and a half, depending on how much data, how much backstory is available and how interesting the songs are and different things like that. So today is going to be a shorter one, as it usually is with this artist, as today we are continuing our descent into the Hollywood Undead and Deuce saga, I guess. It's been about a year. About a year ago, we released the Day of the Dead episode, and then I've taken so long because just the pure amount of attempts to find research and the pure amounts of just everything. It took so long to do this because there isn't really a lot of info out there about Deuce or about this album especially, because there's such a lack of promotion, such a lack of music videos, interviews, tours, anything. This album really came and went by without much fanfare at all. And today, not only do we attempt to cover the events leading up to the album's release, the events delaying the album's release, the songs on the album themselves, obviously the later Nightmare EP, and on top of all of that, what happened or may have happened or what is rumored to have happened to Deuce in the years since, because we don't actually have a concrete answer, we just have a lot of rumors, and that's, I guess where we have to start. So I apologize for the lack of interesting footage, as there really, like I said, aren't really any music videos or anything particularly pertaining to this album that I can use as background footage. It really is all just going to have to be Marvel Rivals footage, so I do apologize for that. But I hope you guys can forgive me when you see that I put a lot of effort into actually making this video. So yeah. As I said, there isn't much info about Invincible online, nor is there much production info. Deuce didn't do a tour for this album, or even release any interviews, and in fact, this album and the Nightmare EP would be the last we would hear of Deuce before this strange timeline of events that's occurred ever since. But first, we need to review the tracks on the album and the EP. Track 1, Here I Come. A kind of low-quality, almost freestyle-sounding rap, but it honestly has grown on me quite a bit over the years since its release. The music video is awful, though. Though this is my brother's favorite song by Deuce. Hell's Gonna Break Loose, a much heavier track that still features the aggression of the 2015 release and was clearly recorded around a similar time. However, the rap verses on this track leave a lot to be desired, especially the second verse. The beginning couple of lines talking about Eminem and MGK are the best part of that verse, and were clearly added onto the song during the 2017 recording sessions when the Eminem and MGK beef began to, beef. Track 3, Bitch This Is It. I actually found the person who Deuce took this beat from, and he claims he was not paid or given any credit for its use. He was not upset about its use, though, as he believes Deuce may change the beat with his own additions just enough to make it his own. Gone Tomorrow, Here Today. One of my personal favorite tracks from this album, it discusses Deuce's life and the decisions he has made, a theme carried on in some of the other best tracks of this album. This whole album, at least originally, seemed to be Deuce reflecting on his time with Hollywood Undead and his part in what went on, finally admitting to being a new person and finally putting his demons to rest. However, the themes of this album became very messy and muddled because of the constant pushback and record label demands, as they basically just wanted 9 Lives too, but Deuce believed he had matured beyond that. World on Fire. This song is the first on this album that I could call bad. It feels extremely unfinished, with its themes not making much sense. James Clopple sings the chorus, pre-chorus, and half of the third verse. That's a lot of the song. Deuce truly only sings the first 2 verses, and both have awful flow and just don't feel right. I do still enjoy parts of it though, specifically the back and forth between Deuce and James, and I found it quite harmonic. My Buddy, the first song absolutely and directly talking about Hollywood Undead, especially J-Dog. The title track. The definitive song from this album, covering all of the themes of the album. This song is Deuce and his ego having a battle of wits, much like Guilty Conscience 2 by Eminem. While Aaron feels deeper and deeper his guilt and want to go back and apologize for his behavior towards Jor-El and George, Deuce, the monster he has created through partying and fame, just expands his ego more and more. It is an amazing exploration of narcissism and the way we use ego to hide insecurity. Bad Attitude, a song seemingly about a breakup, but upon further inspection is about the loss of a friend and musical partner, likely J-Dog. Best of Me, a song attempting to be deep and mature, but honestly comes off edgy and boring. Really not a fan. Thank You is an extremely heartfelt song dedicated to Deuce's fans and all the chances they've given him to create music, both with Hollywood Undead and on his own. Catch Me If You Can, a pointless party song that somehow does manage to stick out among a discography full of pointless party songs due to its oddly catchy, upbeat, and nostalgic sound. It's Alright, It's Okay. This is the first song that I actually heard by Deuce when I first discovered Hollywood Undead when I was 12. Thanks, Tom. Great song. Talking About You. This song, featuring Gadget, discusses the recurring theme of fame and its negative impacts. Pull Me Under, a great song with some deep themes about depression and the feeling of drowning that comes with it. Now, we are going to do something we don't usually do on this channel. Instead of covering events leading up until 2018 on this retrospective timeline and then talking about the Nightmare EP, we are just going to talk about the Nightmare EP, as there isn't really much info between 2017 and 2018, and there isn't really much to cover, especially since all of these songs were already recorded and released in 2015 and then brought to be re-released on this EP. And now they're being re-released again on Spotify for some reason. Bleed. An alright song with some stellar lines about public opinions, but honestly the entire song drags on a little too much and I can see why it was left off of the album. Do You Think About Me? An amazing and romantic song dedicated to Deuce's at-the-time girlfriend, circa 2015, who unfortunately is no longer in a relationship with him. There is a good ending to this story, though, as this particular ex still cares about Aaron and has been active in the community, giving info, dispelling rumors, and generally being a supporter. Famous, an amazing song featuring Gadget and dissing the entire music industry, with some funny foreshadowing with, I'm not going to get in the music biz, but I'm still going to profit from it. I think this song should have replaced Catch Me If You Can on the album. Look at Me Now, an almost perfect song discussing Deuce's life choices up until this point, and how after leaving Hollywood Undead he has changed as a person and shredded most of the ego away after 9 Lives. I think this song really should have been the album closer. Miracle, a song that, upon release, was kind of a mystery, but now seems to be about Deuce discussing his severe mental health issues and fatigue with touring. I think this song should have replaced Best of Me on the album. Nightmare, a badass song that should have remained on the album and calls out J-Dog by name once again. This song was left off for some reason despite being played live several times. In 2019, a mugshot would be released of Aaron Ehrlichman. It turned out that Deuce was rumored to have been arrested for assault on a police officer and harassment. As of 2021, it is believed he has been released, but nobody really knows for sure. However, now in 2026, we have much more info, which is what I'm going to be going over here. Hold on. I want to say a very special thank you to the r/Deuce9Live subreddit as I have saved a bunch of posts from them now that I've signed back up for Reddit. Um, so I've got a bunch of different posts saved from the Deuce 9 Live subreddit that I just want to go over here to kind of follow up on everything. First one here is all Deuce's post Nightmare and Invincible songs. So he's got a bunch of collaborations. There's a ton of them actually. Like there's so many of them. So it's but most of them aren't very good. I like to bring it back by the Anarchist. Um, there was Cole Harris did an album with Deuce, but it was shit. Monsters by Hurricane on Saturn was pretty good. Um, I'm My Own God by Shy Shiloh was really good. Um, and Enter the Nightmare Zone by Will Gates is pretty good. Um, yeah, there's a lot of interesting songs, but most of them are just really shit. And then there's plenty of theories going around as well. So we got a theory here by the user Affectionate Fly 343. The other one was the all the songs were posted by Dry Layer 5452. Um, as most people know, Aaron was heavily involved in the Church of Scientology, and when someone tries to leaving the church, there is repercussions, and the church will basically do whatever they can to destroy someone's life. With Aaron trying to leave the church, I believe this is when his downward spiral began. The church was most likely the ones who were trying to stop him from putting out music, along with Better Noise Records and not really liking the Invincible project. It is easy to see how this could ruin someone's mental well-being. Yes, Deuce does have his own personal demons he's dealing with, but I think most people can agree that the dude has been put through a lot of crap these couple years, and also with COVID and being arrested, it probably had an effect on him. And there's also a mask giveaway he did around this time, which was just a really cheap-looking Party City mask with some spikes on it. It really didn't look like anything worth trying to win. But a bunch of people say it never actually given away. Um, a lot of people are saying he has Lyme disease, which is not true, or isn't confirmed. Johnny and Charlie did do a podcast recently where they talked about being they talk about how they felt bad for having to get rid of Deuce, but that his mental issues did actually really take over him. Um, All right, there's even more here. 1. In terms of Deuce and Nine Lives, this is from Coked Out Skeletons. What is the real timeline here? Deuce can be seen sporting Nine Lives shirts on tour with Hollywood Undead. Songs like Ambitions as a Rida and Set It Off also make references to Deuce still being in Hollywood Undead, and they both feature Truth from Nine Lives. Was Deuce working with two groups at the same time then? How did he get involved with Nine Lives in the first place? Is his involvement with Nine Lives what ruined his chances with Hollywood Undead? To follow that up, what exactly happened when Deuce tried to go solo? I have heard rumors that the band tried to block him from going solo using the stage name Deuce and using his mask from Swan Songs, but I've also heard that it was the label that was trying to make this call since his brand would be too similar to Hollywood Undead. Obviously, the lawsuit between Deuce and A&M Octone gives great credence to the idea that the label was behind it, but he has also claimed many times, even in songs like Famous, that people in the band were actively trying to stop him from going solo. At the same time, though, I believe the general consensus is that Deuce got around this situation by dropping songs for free that were being rapped over other people's instrumentals, like Story of a Snitch, Break Them Walls, etc. But one of the songs, the aforementioned Ambitions as a Rida, has lyrics indicating he was still on good terms with Hollywood Undead when it was recorded, so the whole thing is just puzzling to me. What exactly happened between Deuce and the band when he first tried to drop Invincible on his own behind the label's back? Obviously, this caused turmoil between Deuce and his label, but I recall around this time when the album, or a song from it, got taken down, Deuce tweeted at DeCurls and Johnny Three Tears that he was going to sue them for extortion. And we never hear any more from that situation. And in the comments, to answer question number 2, which is about the label, Deuce was under contract as a solo artist as well as with HU, so he had to be released from his contract from A&M. Before shit went south, the label saw Deuce as a promising solo artist. This Love, This Hate was produced as a Deuce solo and was put on Swan Songs as a way to test the waters to see how popular a song with just Deuce could be. Floopy Boopers also says that he would have had a much easier time going solo if that had been the case, or if that hadn't been the case. The issue wasn't that his brand was too similar to Hollywood Undead. The label said Deuce as a concept was now their intellectual property, and they said he wasn't allowed to use his masks or stage name if he made a solo album, which is what the lawsuit that pushed back his Nine Lives for so long was about. He'd refused to not use the name. This Love, This Hate was written by Deuce and Jim Milner, without any of the other members of Hollywood Undead. Jim also helped him record and write Gravestone and a couple other early songs. However, he didn't start writing until after HU had fully finished Swan Songs. He didn't join Nine Lives until the future with Hollywood Undead was already kind of in limbo. Okay. Another little question here from Sufficient Putt.
As we know, it has been confirmed that Deuce's mother and Jimmy Yuma are heavily involved in Church of Scientology, and the music video for Help Me Off Nine Lives was recorded in their church, which would mean that Deuce was involved in this for many years. The same as all the members of Hollywood Undead except Shady Jeff, and evidence of this is in J-Dog's lyrics in The Kids. But the rest of them didn't seem to be active since 2006, so did it have anything to do with Deuce being kicked out of the band? Are all of his current problems caused by the fact that he no longer wanted to be part of the Church of Scientology? However, there are also some strange differences. For example, Johnny Three Cheers has always been a Christian, and Scientology is against Christianity. There's also some videos posted online, interestingly. Uh, as well as Belay, who actually worked with Belay, who began to try and help people find Deuce. And at this point, Deuce began to mention that he was began to show in videos that he was afraid to talk about his past, and especially dodging questions with all of his music. It's obvious that Deuce has begun to lose.
Words. It's clear that he doesn't quite have a grip on reality anymore. And he apparently also got another arrest for scamming and for sexual harassment. He also began to claim that he was never in Hollywood Undead. Um, However, he then eventually updated all of his Instagram. And and so here is what seemed, thanks to aggravating piece 870, what appears to relatively be the best timeline. After being kicked out of Hollywood Undead, Deuce engaged in a media war with them from 2009 to 2015, repeatedly insulting them in songs and in the media, accusing them of assault outside a club and extortion, aimed at delaying the release of his second album, Invincible. Johnny Three Tears confirmed in an interview that he was sued for the alleged assault even though he wasn't even there. There have been numerous lawsuits between Deuce and Hollywood Undead, including over the rights to perform songs from Swan Songs and the band's image. According to court records, the cases related to Hollywood Undead's assault were settled in 2013, but then in 2014, Deuce played his last live concert in Moscow, which was also his first performance outside of the United States. Russia has the biggest Hollywood Undead and Deuce fan base for sure. In 2015, he moved to Oregon, out of LA, along with a few of his friends. Due to the album's delay, Deuce decided to publish the entire album for free, which greatly infuriated his record label, and they deleted it from the internet. This meant a 2-year hiatus from official releases. In the meantime, Deuce began communicating with fans by sending strange messages on Twitter, even claiming he would reconcile with HU if he could. His last studio album was released in 2017, and the EP Nightmare in early 2018. This split the 2015 album into 2 parts, meaning better editing and the addition of new tracks. Fans were dissatisfied with the new tracks, though, accusing Deuce of a lack of creativity, silly lyrics, and cliched beats, as if he no longer cared about making good music. There were no music videos or concerts featuring Deuce to promote the album, which made Deuce seem cut off from the media. The label no longer wanted to pay him any attention, as it was more profitable for them to promote other artists, so Deuce tried to start his own label. However, this didn't work out, and he was arrested in late 2018. The reason was a quarrel between him and his parents, who reportedly tried to extort money from him. The argument ended in physical violence, included some directed at a police officer. After this incident, he was released after a few months and never returned to his family. He left behind his recording equipment, which his family still owns and sold some of, along with a house in Oregon. He became homeless, sleeping on a bench, and was arrested again several times for petty theft from Walmart. Then, under unknown circumstances, he was roommates with a woman named Danielle, who turned out to be a psycho fan, sneaked onto his... After a few weeks, Deuce left the apartment and went to a homeless shelter. However, he left after fans tracked him down. He then wandered around an airport until someone brought him back to LA. It is unknown who he is living with now. In 2021, after no press releases since 2017, Deuce gave his first phone interview after a long time, and a year later, in 2022, he made his official return to making music, collabing with The Anarchist and then with many other tiny internet creators.
and SoundCloud rappers, a practice he still continues in 2026, often selling poor quality recordings of his vocals from his phone. But after a while, something terrifying began happening. He began to ask fans for money and began giving strange interviews where he started making crazy and crazier claims, claiming he'd never been on Hollywood Undead, never made music, and that it was all AI. There's speculation that he's behaving this way because of untreated Lyme disease or a mental illness, such as schizophrenia, but no one really knows what's wrong with him or where he is currently. However, he recently deleted his Instagram, so he no longer speaks to anyone. However, there is actually more. He does have a new Instagram where he still continues to contact people. He's active and talks on his good days with a few people. On his bad days, it can get really bad to the point where he barely even remembers where he is. From his previous Deuce does have untreated Lyme disease, and his behaviors were worsened by that, but not caused by it.
What you're watching right now is the only known footage of the Squirrel Girl and New Warriors TV pilot. Soon after this, the show would be canceled, with all footage seemingly being lost. What would follow soon after this would be allegations, a series of deleted tweets, and the fall of an entire Marvel studio. To fully understand this story, let's go back to the beginning and learn some context. 1991, Marvel Superheroes number.
Eventually, a merch page eventually showed up, and also Deuce doesn't have a driver's license.
Stated that the real inspiration was an old ex-girlfriend, Doreen Greeley.
And just in general, it seems that his mental illness has really caused him to be unable to properly be involved in the process of making music anymore. And will we ever get a return from Deuce? I really hope so. It's why I'm still part of the Reddit community, which you can also, join my subreddit, which I'm going to be putting back up soon. And I really enjoy his music, and I would love to see him make more music. But this isn't what I want. This isn't what anybody wants. Nobody wants these low quality phone recordings. I think we can do so much better. So, yeah.